Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Our buddy Sean Fazende, Fox 8 in New Orleans, good enough to join us now, talk some Saints camp. Sean, thanks for the time as always, man. How are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
Very well. Let me start with Marshawn Lattimore. Do we have an update?
Marshawn Lattimore, as far as a
like
regular season?
Yeah, like suspension. Is anything going to happen there?
Yeah. Sean Payton was asked about that today, and, he seemed to hint at the fact that perhaps what could be delaying that decision is the court case or whatever the situation is up in, I guess, was it Cleveland, where the incident happened, and whenever that gets ironed out, perhaps they could get a more finalized decision. But as of right now, no word from the NFL. I have to go back and check just to see, is this normal to have this kind of a lengthy amount of time to not have a decision yet? But right now, they're preparing for him to be ready. But I think most people understand that it's probably going to change at some point.
Do you think, and maybe this is speculative, Sean, or maybe you know, but does that decision from the NFL determine what the Saints might do at that position? Like whether they could go seek a trade or to add anybody at cornerback?
I think they were always in the market for a veteran cornerback. Whether they get one or not remains to be seen. But regardless of the Marshawn Lattimore situation, it was always their goal to get a cornerback. Now, they've had a couple of guys that have played fairly well in camp, but I still think if they can upgrade at that position via trade, they will do that regardless of the NFL's decision with Marshawn Lattimore. Now that it gets a little more heightened when, let's just say you have a suspension of Lattimore for a few games, and yes, that makes that situation a lot more dire. But I think that was going to happen, or at least that was going to attempt to happen. That was always the plan. Now look, a couple of young guys have played well. The third-round pick has played pretty well. I don't know if he's starter material yet, but I know that's been talked about a little bit more as a possibility now over the last couple of practices, maybe before camp started. But that was always on their kind of to-do list. We'll just see, what happens if they're able to make a deal, or perhaps, in that last round of cuts from other teams where, some quality veterans at times get let go. Perhaps, that's an avenue that they take. But that was always going to be on the to-do list.
Sean, noticed Ryan Ramcyzk was back at practice today. What can you tell us about that situation?
Felt like it was more of a veteran day off thing, but it was back-to-back days, so it made it a little more noticeable. But he was back today getting first-team reps, playing like he normally does, protecting the quarterback, run blocking, that sort of thing. So we never got an update on the actual reason why he missed the last 2 days, but they've been doing this every fourth day, veteran rest thing. For him to get back-to-back days, it made it a little more noticeable. But nonetheless, he was back today and certainly didn't look like he missed a beat.
Are there how would you sort of handicap the backup offensive line jobs right now? I mean, how many do they keep, and who do you think has the lead right now?
Well, they've gone in years past with 9, and they've dressed either 7 or 8 on game day, depending on who could contribute on special teams and add value in that, sort of that jumbo package that they do with the extra linemen. Right now, the guy that's probably gotten the most first-team reps with whoever starter is out. Sometimes it's Tehran, sometimes it's Ramczyk. It's been James Harris. So I guess you could call him the 6th offensive lineman, although I will say he has not had a great camp. But nonetheless, he didn't have a great camp last year. I thought he filled in fairly well at times last year. And next up, you might look, he missed practice today and yesterday, so we'll get an update eventually on him. But Will Clapp has been the second-team center, if you recall. Mm-hmm. After the second drive last week, or in the preseason game, Will Clapp was with the ones at center as well. So he perhaps has a chance to stick. He's got to be able to play center. He's got to be able to play guard. I think him playing center now kind of helps because you've already seen him play guard, and he's done the that 6th lineman thing that he's done in years past. And of course, you have the draft pick Landon Young. I'm trying to think of who else. Ethan Green was a guy that they like, but he's missed practice the last couple of days as well. So it's always hard because, a lot of people are concerned with offensive line depth, but poll 32 teams, Matt. Offensive line depth
Right.
is an issue for everyone. That's just the world you live in. When you talk about people that size and just how relatively few of them there are walking the earth that can play at the NFL level.
Sean Fazande's with us on Twitter at Sean Fazande Fox 8. I also want to ask about tight end because I feel like we haven't talked a ton about this, but there's a tremendous amount of expectation on Adam Troutman, and we didn't really see much of him in the first preseason game. How has camp gone for him?
You know, if you weren't looking, you'd think it was pretty vanilla camp, but if you really watch, I think he's had an excellent camp. He's a great two-way tight end. Now, don't get lost in reception numbers. For instance, if we'll go look at Tony Jones's run in the touchdown run against Baltimore. His block is the one that springs it. He had a couple of catches today. He hasn't had the flashy type day. I know yesterday he caught a pass in the back of the end zone in 7-on-7 from Jameis. It was 7-on-7, but nonetheless, he was able to make the catch. You know, he's the guy. He's kind of a two-way guy. He's that traditional wide tight end, can do it from the inline position. So he runs certain routes, and then I actually think he kind of plays off well with what's become one of the bigger surprises of camp, and that's the development of Juwan Johnson, tight end position, who's more of a flex tight end style, former receiver type. So I think both guys have had good camps. It's just, you know, the style which Troutman plays is not always going to be noticeable unless you're really getting into kind of the minutia of film study.
Sean, do you think they're going to keep three tight ends? And if so, Troutman, Johnson, and who do you think would be number three, assuming the other two are the first two?
Yeah, I would think Vanette would be the guy.
Okay.
I know Ethan Wolf has had some moments in camp. He had a drop yesterday, but he had a nice catch today. Garrett Griffin feels like he's been around forever. But they brought Nick Vanette in for a specific reason, be more of the Josh Hill type. He had a catch today. He's not going to catch a lot of passes. I mean, he's there to give you some position flexibility in terms of where he can line up, and he's going to be a blocking tight end that occasionally will get out into the flat and make a catch. But that would be the pick right now. That could certainly change, but I think that would be a pretty safe selection for him.
A couple more that I wanted to ask you about. We know Quan Alexander is back at practice. What is he doing at practice? How active is he?
He's doing everything,
wow,
which is amazing. Team drills for last 2 days, active last 2 days. Had the pass breakup yesterday. Had a sack today on Jameis Winston. You hear the word legendary a lot. It's his favorite word. He's saying it, and you hear his teammates saying as well, legendary play, legendary play. You feel that guy's energy. So he's already back on the field. Man, what an incredible recovery.
Yeah.
And I even thought they would take it a little even slower, maybe not get him back on the field until after this game. But no, he's getting some first-team reps, and look, he's made some plays. It's not like he got on the field and shook off some rust. He got on the field and made an instant impact.
Yeah. I mean, Sean, Sheldon Rankins is a big dude who had an Achilles and came back the following season. It's just so rare because, right? I mean, you always hear when guys have this injury, they lose a lot of their explosiveness. But, I mean, judging by what you're saying here, it sounds like a week one start is probably expected right now for Quan. Am I overreaching there?
No, I don't think so. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, we're not even to the second preseason game, and he's already on the field during team periods. And not just team periods, stuff like 2-minute drill, red zone, big-time stuff. So, with him on the field, if it had been a situation where he was still off to the side and the preseason ended, then I could say that's more of a question mark. But now, I mean, I'd be surprised if he wasn't on the field by week one.
Tony Jones Jr., he had the big day, obviously, against Baltimore. How has he followed it up, and how would you sort of handicap Tony Jones Jr. and Devontae Freeman and the rest of the guys vying for that number 3 running back spot?
Yeah, I think Tony Jones really helped himself, and he was the guy that fought his way onto the roster last year, got on the practice squad, got in for that COVID game where all the running backs were out against Carolina, got hurt after, I believe,
I forgot
one
about that.
play.
I forgot about that.
But look, he's a guy that, runs the ball with good vision, doesn't outthink himself when he runs, not always trying to make, a crazy cut. He goes where the daylight is. He can break a tackle, catches the ball on the flat. I think he had 4 or 5 catches against Baltimore. And then what I like about him, and what I know Sean Payton likes about him, he even mentioned it, is the fact he can pick up the blitz. Go back and watch Jameis' 2-minute drill. He had 1 or 2 or 3 really good blitz pickups. He had a couple of blitz pickups again today in team period. So I like Tony Jones' chances. And then the veteran that I would be a little concerned with because of Tony Jones' emergence would be Devontae Freeman, just because he hasn't been here quite as long as hasn't been here quite as long as obviously Latavius Murray, but you just can't fumble in a preseason game like that on the first snap of Jameis Winston. So that would be the one that I would be concerned with if I were in that running back room. But I guess there's still a long ways to go, so we'll see. But I thought Tony Jones really helped himself.
All right, Sean, last one. Your obligatory quarterback of the question of the day. So go.
Yeah, it's Jameis Winston. He's winning the job. That's who's winning it.
Do you think they're both going to play?
I don't know. I was asked about that earlier today. I'll say this. It is a little surprising to me that there's not a clear leader, at least in my opinion. And I've watched every single pass, every single snap. There's an opportunity there for someone to take it over, and I feel like it just hasn't happened. I thought what you saw in the game was a pretty accurate representation of what we've seen in practice. If you're on Team Taysom, you're probably still that way. If you're on Team Jameis, you're probably still that way. I don't know if they play two quarterbacks. I'm sure if they do the Jameis Winston start and Taysom, he'll gadget role will still, be in the mix. But I don't know. It is a little surprising, and I'm going to give it one more. I want to see Jameis with the first team in a preseason game, and then I'll probably give my quote-unquote winner after Monday night.
He is Sean Fazende on Twitter, at Sean Fazende Fox 8. Make sure you follow him. Of course, he's got his column, After Further Review. You can get, he'll tweet out the links, or there at the website as well for all of his camp reports and updates and insights. Sean, we always appreciate it, man. Thanks for making time.
All right, bud. Appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll see you. It's After Further Review. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.